Hello, 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 and welcome to my channel. Good morning, Soul Shines. I am Michelle, and I am inviting you to wake up and live. So today I want to talk about something that I consider to be a half-truth, like attracts like. It is something you hear all of the time, and it can be quite discouraging actually, because you're hearing all the time like attracts like attracts like. So it's this idea that if you're behaving that way, you're going to attract people behaving that way, but that's only a half truth. Okay, so here's the thing. The universe wants to create balance, so like can attract like, and like does attract like. When you're like can attract like, and like does attract like. When you're a really healthy person, you're going to attract really healthy people. When you're a really unhealthy person, you're going to attract really unhealthy people. I'm talking about mental health, like emotional health. So an emotional healthy person is going to attract emotional healthy people around them. And emotionally unhealthy people is going to attract emotionally unhealthy people around them. The problem is that when you are emotionally unhealthy, you may not actually attract the same. You may be attracting your opposite. Now, the best example of this is the narcissist. Because I'm an empath, I have been in and out of empath Facebook groups, and there's one of the challenges with empaths is a lot of empaths end up with narcissists. And there's a reason for that. And it has to do with the opposites attracting. What happens with empaths is there's a boundary issue. As you learn and grow, you learn to create healthy boundaries, but a lot of times in the beginning as an empath, you're not even aware that you are an empath, and you're not aware that you don't have boundaries. So those boundaries can attract in the lack of boundaries are going to attract in somebody who wouldn't respect your boundaries even if you had them. But he's looking for somebody, or she's looking for somebody, depending if it's a male or female narcissist, they're looking for somebody who doesn't actually have good boundaries. So they're going to attract codependents, they're going to attract empaths without boundaries, and they're going to be attracting emotionally unhealthy people who don't have boundaries, because that's what creates balance. They're really unhealthy this way, so they're going to create somebody really unhealthy this way. And then when they're together, they create kind of a balanced. If they were a whole person, they would have a healthy balance. They're not whole people, so it's a really unhealthy relationship. Hi. So then you have like that's extreme. You can have people who are like this. I don't have the best of boundaries, but I've been working on them, so they're not way over here. I have some pretty decent boundaries, and so I'm attracting some people who have a little bit of selfish tendencies, but not full on, and so we kind of have a balance. When I become completely emotionally healthy, when it comes to relationships, I will attract completely emotionally healthy guys. Not that we're perfect, but a part of it is boundaries. When I have my healthy boundaries in place, first of all, I have no attraction. I do not even feel attracted to the guys that are unhealthy. The more my boundaries become healthy, the more I'm aware of that. I have no interest in those kind of guys anymore. That's fabulous, and that's what we're looking for. And so that's one example of how the opposite can attract. We hear, I guess right now I'm kind of on the stop beating yourself up kind of thing, because I remember during my marriage, I was constantly beating myself up. I was constantly being like, if you didn't have this kind of behavior inside of you, you wouldn't be attracting this kind of a situation. It's all my fault, all my fault, all my fault, and everything in the world was my fault. And that's one of the unhealthy results of studying the law of attraction, is there's so much more to it. So I'm gonna kind of go on a side note for a minute. The law of attraction is only one law in the universe. Only one. You have the law of perpetual transmutation, which means that everything is going in and out of change. So just like and water will become an ice cube when it's frozen, and it becomes a gas when it's like super heated up. It has these stages, right? That it goes in and out of. So does everything. We're always either moving towards creation or away from creation. So there's always like this in and out of everything. Okay, so that's one of the laws of the universe. You've also got the law of rhythm. Everything is going up and down or in or out. There's constant waves, just like the ocean is going in and out. You're gonna have really great times and you're gonna have low times. Eventually you're hoping that your low times never, like, okay, you want it to go on a, what is that, uphill, so that your low is here and then you go up and then your low comes not quite as low and then your low comes not quite as low, so that it's moving up. So that's the idea of how you know you're improving, is when your lows don't go as low. So there's these different laws. Those are just a couple of the laws. There's quite a few laws of the universe, and so that's something to consider. Another concept is gravity. Okay, so the law of gravity, we know about that. We know that there's this thing that holds us to the earth. But there's also this law of thrust that sends an airplane up in the sky to defy gravity. Does that mean gravity doesn't exist anymore? No, it's still there. So we can work with the different laws of the universe, because although this like attracts like, or the opposites attract to create a balance, because both are true within the law of attraction. You also have other laws that you can use to kind of defy the law of attraction. It's an interesting concept. Sometimes there's one about the law of comparison. We talk about comparison, and comparison is, we always talk about the negatives of it. Like, don't compare yourself to so-and-so because, it'll make yourself feel bad. Or you'll make yourself puffed up. Like there's, we talk about that negative aspect of the law. But one of the things that can be very beneficial is when, like, I've been watching a lot of nanny, like super nanny kind of things with that Joe Frost. Just stumbled across it on YouTube, and I thought, oh, this is fun. I haven't watched these for years. One of the amazing things for me about watching that is realizing and utilizing the law of comparison in a positive way. Not as into, oh, I'm doing better than them, but to realize, holy cow, my kids aren't that bad. I'm actually not doing so bad. Go me for being a good mom. Do I have areas of improvement? Yes. And so we can use the law of comparison, this concept of comparison. I look back at my pioneer ancestors. They didn't have, most of the time they were walking across the plains. Holy cow, I don't think I could have done that. It helps me to realize how good I have it, how blessed I am. I'm really sad for people in third world countries. But one of the things about looking at the situation in third world countries is to recognize how blessed I am. So those are ways that you can use different laws to recognize, hey, you're actually pretty well off. I like to point out to people when they're complaining to me about how horrible their lives are, I'm like, you're on the internet. You're communicating with me through the internet. That's pretty powerful and pretty blessed thing. There's so much available on the internet. You can learn so much. You can learn skills to get out of things. There's just so much you can learn for free. And so how blessed we are. So those are some of the things. So I kind of got sidetracked. I guess part of what I'm talking about with why it's so easy to get caught up with the law of attraction and like attracts like is there's this concept called the mirror. And that's the world reflecting back to you about what you believe. And that concept says that whatever you are inside, it's what you're attracting to yourself. And that can be very powerful if you can use it to help yourself heal some things. If I'm attracting a lot of people gossiping around me, I can just check in. I'm like, am I a gossip? And realize if I am gossiping, holy cow, I can stop it. And so there's some powerful things that come from that. But there's, like I said earlier, I got into a place where I was beating myself up. I thought everything in the world was my fault. I was a naturally guilty person anyway. Like, I felt bad about the least little thing I ever did wrong. So already being prone to guilt and shame, to bring in this idea that it's all about, like, that I made it all, can be very disempowering. So you've got to recognize, in my opinion, that there is like that attracts like. It is a powerful thing when it brings you to a positive place. When you can recognize that, oh, I have something in me to change. You can change that to align with what you want, and then you are attracting that thing to you. But there is also the opposites attract. And so when you recognize that when you're an amazing, good person, sometimes you're attracting, nope, I'm not going to say that, because when you're an amazing, good person, you've got healthy boundaries. When you think that you are an amazing, good person, you may or may not have healthy boundaries. You're going to be a very loving person if you're thinking that way, probably. Well, no, I can't say that either, because I was like, instantly I thought about all the people that are puffed up in themselves and they think they're amazing. Basically, you just got to be careful, because if you're unhealthy emotionally, you're going to attract unhealthy emotional people. And yes, there's something inside of you to change, but it's not necessarily the same thing that you're attracting to you. So you may be attracting a very selfish person because you're a very you're giving person to the point of an unhealthy giving. Just like there is a layer of being selfish that's important. It's important to take care of yourself, because you can't take care of anybody else if you are not taking care of yourself. It's just not possible. So that's important. It's important to say no to people in a selfish way. If that, because sometimes we say yes to everything and never say no, and that's not good. Sometimes we say no to everything and never say yes, and that's not good. So you've got to create that healthy balance. You've got to have healthy boundaries, healthy balance. So if you're giving to the point where you're a doormat, that's not healthy. And that doormat attitude, which I've been there, I've totally been there. I used to call myself a puppet on a string, because that's what I felt like. You just like pull the string and I'll go your way. That's unhealthy, that unhealthy space. So I attracted selfish people. So you've got selfish people and doormat people. Like there's extreme selfish people, there's extreme doormat people, and they tend to attract each other. And they're not alike in the sense that doormat's attracting doormat, although that can happen too. And selfish doesn't usually, well, they can attract selfish, but it's very different. It looks very different. It's pretty crazy, because usually they attract the opposite, because it kind of creates, like I said, if they were one person and they meshed their overgiving and overtaking together, they become healthy. So but they are alike in that they are both extremely unhealthy. Okay, so I feel like I've been rambling, but I hope that you get the idea that when you're thinking about like attracts like, if it is bringing you into a place of pain, check in with it. Are you attracting things that are exactly like you in the way that they show up, or are you attracting things that are like you and that you are equally unhealthy? You can, I'm just kind of thinking how this applies with money. I'm thinking that at one point in time, one of the reasons why I attracted so much debt and so little money is because being such a giver, you give to the point where you don't have any more to give. You create debt to the point where you have nothing to give because all you have is debt. That could be the same. It may not. You're definitely unhealthy things you could be attracting in your body. You create, when you feel like you are nothing, you fill yourself up with junk. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there today. It's just not serving. It doesn't feel right to go there. I feel funny that I ran off on the tangent about the laws, but I feel like that was necessary to kind of talk about different things. So, like it does attract like, opposites also attract. That's the truth. But our perception of the truth, that's what's becoming really clear as I'm talking. I was kind of aware of it before, but that's what it's really clear is you may attract something that's like you, but not exactly like you. So you're going to attract unhealthy and unhealthy. In manifesting, you are going to attract, if you are not attracting what you're aligned, you feel like you want, then you are attracting what the negative experience that you're alike with. That's the thing. And it may not be that you believe you deserve this negative thing, but it may not be, it may be that you don't feel you deserve the positive thing. Like, it's kind of funny and hazy, but it's true. How am I going to word that so that you can understand? Okay, I'm going to do this thing that I did the other night. I did it last night. Taught somebody about it to align my energies. Okay, so, and I have this concept, it's like right here, that I want to bring in about how this unhealthy thing, these opposites attract kind of thing. So you're getting the opposite of what you want because you're attracting it. Because we are always, that's one of the things about the law of attraction is, like, people say I'm a master creator and they start using that as their, now if they said I'm a master conscious creator, then I'm all in support of that, because that's what it's really about, being a conscious creator. But we literally are creating everything all the time. We're all the time sending out some kind of a vibration, or we're either sending out something to attract it or something out to repel it, depending on what's going on in our energy system and in our beliefs and in whatever's going on inside of us. So we're either attracting things that are like us and that we want them, or we are repelling the things because of whatever's going on inside of us. But the real law of attraction is always happening. The law, like, we are electric magnet beings. I wasn't going to talk about this right now, but I guess I am. Electric magnetic beings. One of the reasons why you do this is because it helps create the proper polarity in your energy system, because our energies are like a body, are like a magnet, and it has north poles and south poles. And when we're super stressed and we're doing, or we have negative beliefs, it flips the direction that our energies are flowing, and it actually creates the opposite poles instead of attracting things like we're supposed to, like magnets attracting, we're actually repelling them. Just like when you have a north pole, you try to put two north poles together on a magnet and they repel each other. That's what you've done to your body. it's flipped it around. So they're not repelling each other. And then the other thing that happens is when you put a weak battery with a strong battery together and you put them together the wrong way, or maybe you put them together the right way. Anyway, one drains the other when it's and so that will happen too. You'll be, instead of sending out positive energy, you'll be sucking energy in because you're draining, because your energies aren't flowing the right way. That's another thing I think is with the law of attraction. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm sorry if this was super rambly and it didn't fully make sense. Unfortunately, sometimes when I start talking about something, I'm getting clarity, but I feel like when I'm getting clarity, it's not coming out clear. So I hope that you found something beneficial in this video. Remember, everybody, to let your soul shine big, bright, light, and beautiful, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.